Angel Cruz had said all I did was shoot him in the ass. There's something so juvenile about that, obviously, but for me, although I wasn't aware of it at the time, there was also something familiar and nostalgic. When I was 15, there had been this father-daughter dance at the elite private girls' school in Manhattan that I went to as a charity case / financial aid recipient. My mother had wisely arranged for her brother, Uncle Mikey, to take me to the dance, but at the last minute, my father decided that him not attending might be one of those things that might scar me in later life. So me and my dad left our two-family house in Sunnyside that evening. Me in a dress my parents couldn't afford, and my dad in his Irish all-purpose navy blue suit with a pair of black socks we had convinced him to borrow from the neighbors. When we got inside the ballroom, I took a quick look around and became instantly embarrassed, to the point of humiliation, by the fact that my dad was the only father on the Upper East Side that night whose suit pants didn't have cuffs. But within a half hour, everyone was calling him Danny. Even the headmistress, who hadn't called me anything but Miss Hanrahan in 3 years. And he was dancing and chatting. All my friends were smitten by him. And the teachers and the other investment banking and mortgage brokering fathers were like vying for his attention. And he had even stuck by the agreed upon 2-beer rule. Or so I thought. Well, at some point in the evening, one of the fathers made an offhand comment that my father took exception to. A heated discussion ensued, and my father ended up stabbing the guy with a dessert fork, breaking the skin. What the guy had said was unimportant. No, actually, what he said was he was reminiscing about where he'd grown up as a kid, and he remarked that it used to be a good neighborhood, you know, white. Now forget it. I went back there last month, it's half white. The rest, blacks and Italians. My mom's Italian. EMS was called, and the dance, well, let's just say the stabbing concluded the dancing portion of the evening. My father's justification for the assault, after explaining how he didn't immediately attack him, and how he had given the rich jerk ample opportunity to apologize, and how he won't tolerate a bigot no matter where he is, and what if your mom or Rashid from the deli had been there, and how he still doesn't understand why I need to go to that stuck-up school anyway. In the end, what he finally said was, it was just a fork. And he said it, I've now come to realize, with just that same look of incredulousness on his face that Angel Cruz had on his, as if the whole world was crazy, and he was the only sane one. I hated my dad for the whole mortifying incident, but the dysfunctional side of me was proud of him. Actually, I'm still kind of proud of him. And I'm not convinced there's something wrong with me for feeling that. I had no idea why Angel Cruz had just shot him in the ass, but I felt something. Something. And I wanted to know what it was, just to be sure. Just to know. And even though I was no longer obligated to him as his counsel, despite the fact that the rational side of my brain was very much convinced that he had in fact attempted to murder Reverend Kim. And yes, of course, even if he hadn't literally attempted murder, you still can't run around shooting people. Just like you can't go around stabbing people with dessert forks. I know all that, but I gotta admit that somewhere inside of me, and I don't know if it's the good side or the side that I saw a therapist twice a week and went to ACOA meetings for, but somewhere inside of me is a place that thinks that sometimes you can do those things, or at least someone can, or should. And that one man's neurotic is another man's hero. And who ultimately can say which one's which with any real certainty at all.